A lot of people that we see either are dealing with some kind of massive overwhelm, massive fatigue, or big anxiety.
I went to the doctor and they're like, all your levels are fine. Everything is fine. I'm like, but I don't feel fine.
Then he said, I want you to go home and take 8 of these a day. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I said, the bottle says 2, brother. Like, I'm not taking 8. I took the magnesium. I remember thinking the next day I woke up and the fire was finally out.
Oh, wow. What I really like about Stephanie, you get your blood work and then you go through every single thing together. Like the appointment was like over an hour long, but you're like, stay low impact. And I think I was just like postpartum and I was like, what do you mean?
We can see in the lab work if the body is in a state, if it's overly inflamed, if it's recovering from something. We try to be very human and down to earth with you.
Yeah.
So we're not going to talk, down to you. We're not going to make you feel like white coat syndrome. Anyways, I rear-ended someone massively. And the airbag just exploded into my chest.
Hello, my loves. Welcome back to Better Than Before. Today, I am sitting down with someone who has truly transformed the way I approach my own health and nutrition, and her name is Stephanie, the powerhouse behind Oh Wow Nutrition, a clinical nutritionist who helps women heal from the inside out. After struggling with her own hormonal imbalances and cystic acne, she turned to holistic nutrition and functional lab testing to uncover the root causes of health issues, not just the symptoms. And now she's on a mission to help others do the same, creating personalized, science-backed nutrition plans that empower women to feel their absolute best. I've personally had the chance to work with Stephanie, and I cannot begin to tell you how much of a difference she's made in my own health journey. From understanding my body better to feeling more energized and balanced, her approach is truly life-changing. And today, I am so excited to have her share her knowledge with all of you. We'll be diving into gut health, hormone balance, lab testing, and how small, sustainable changes can make a massive impact. So get ready for some seriously eye-opening insights. Welcome to the podcast, Stephanie.
Thank you. Hello.
Hello.
I'm so glad to be here.
I am so excited. We've been wanting to do this for I don't know how long now. And I'm so glad that we were able to finally make it happen. So Stephanie's going to touch on her background and everything right now, but I just want to put it out there. We've been working together on and off for about 4 years, right? Is that right, you think?
Yeah. Right when I first started this business, you were my very, very first partnership that I worked with. And
yeah.
It's awesome that we've had this so long too over the years.
So I guess, do you want to talk about a little bit about how you started, where you're at, what your bread and butter is, and just we'll go from there.
Yeah. So how I started all of this, well, I was an acne-ridden, tired person in her mid-20s. I actually got into this massive car accident. I'm born and raised in Houston. I was on Highway 6.
Oh, wow.
I grew up in Bear Creek, and I was driving this road. I drive all the time. And then bam, I look up, and my fault because I'm overwhelmed, overstressed.
Right.
Probably texting and driving. I hope not. But anyways, I rear-ended someone massively. And airbag just exploded into my chest, and my ribs were killing me. So I would wake up in the morning, and I literally would be doing something, and if someone would make me laugh, I'd be like, like I'd have to compress my chest. So because the ribs hurt. So then I said, you know what? I've been hearing about a chiropractor all my life. And the way I was raised, it's like, we don't spend money on that stuff.
Yeah.
You're not gonna do that. So I'm like, you know what? This time I think I need to see a chiropractor for this. So I was looking. I called these places and I just got a bad feel. Now that I know more about this, it kind of was like one of these personal injury places that are just gonna, turn and burn you. And it just felt off. So I didn't do it, but was in this personal development training. You have to introduce yourself, what you do. So this guy who is actually my husband now,
wow,
Dr. Dan, introduced himself. So he stood up and he's like, hi, I'm Dr. Dan and I'm a chiropractor. He actually took care of the guy who was leading the training. So then he had some clout, and I liked the people that did that training, and I would give him my business. So I was like, that's my chiropractor.
Duh.
A no-brainer. So I went up to him. I got under his care. He helped me tremendously with the ribs, but that was my first introduction into nutrition. So when my ribs were just burning, he said, there might be something more here.
Mm.
I think we need to look into magnesium. Basic, right? But I knew nothing about nutrition.
Right. How old were you at this point?
I was 26,
Okay.
26.
Okay.
Yep. 37 today. So
Wait, not today.
Like, okay.
Like your birthday's today?
Oh,
Oh.
no, actually it's January.
Okay.
2nd.
I was like, pause. Happy birthday. Yeah.
So yeah, so basically he's like magnesium. I said, all right, how much do I take? And then he said, I want you to go home and take 8 of these a day. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I said, the bottle says 2, brother. Like, I'm not taking 8. And he's like, just trust me, take the 8. And I was like, okay, I'm going to trust you. I've been feeling a lot better. I go home, take the 8, literally shit my brains out. No, I didn't.
Well, what kind of magnesium is this?
Well, this was magnesium bisglycinate.
Oh, just kidding.
You know what? Actually, it was perk magnesium. It might be a multiform magnesium. I have no idea. Really.
Because the reason I ask is when I was pregnant, I was so constipated. Nobody talks about that part, like when you're pregnant. And I ended up I'm pretty sure it was magnesium glycinate, and I was taking 8 pills a day. And everybody was like, 8? And I'm like, this is the only thing that works for me right now. So that's why it just reminded me of that. So that's so funny.
So you were pooping when you took the 8?
Oh yeah. I was good.
It's a game changer.
Yeah.
So I took this magnesium, and mind you, at this point, I had just, I was just starting a business at that time.
Yeah.
I was importing different things, doing some wholesale, and I was stressed and just young person, doing this. And so at the point I took the magnesium, I remember thinking the next day I woke up and the fire was finally out.
Oh, wow.
Not only, I was starting to feel better in my muscles, but I'm like, is this how normal people feel?
Yeah.
Like not this stressed and not this tense. So that was actually, I would say, when I got hooked, like spiritually, I knew there's something about this that is just a pull for me. So from that point, we got married a week later.
Oh, I was like, whoa.
I got moving fast.
Dr. Dan.
I like something.
Yeah.
I'm an all-in kind of person. No, so but anyways, that's how I got introduced to this. And then fast forward a couple years later, I started attending seminars with Dan. And when I was there, I had closed my business at that point. Again, I just knew in my spirit, you know what? I think I need to tie a bow on this. It was great, but just
served its purpose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you just know you need to pivot and change your direction. So at the seminar one day, someone approached me and they said, I know you have a background in sales and nutrition. Would you be interested in becoming a sales rep for us? So this was a massive pay cut for me. I mean, massive. And my ego was like, are you kidding me? Like, I mean, honestly, I'm like, I got a mouth to feed and,
right.
It just didn't seem like a good idea, but it was one of those things. And I don't know if you've ever done this before where, you just want the experience and, it doesn't matter how much money, you just want to be in the industry.
Yeah.
So I ended up doing it. And I remember for the first 3 months, it was neat. I was going around, I was learning more about the supplements and the herbs and the structures and how people treat holistically. And the different systems in the body, what you need to specifically upregulate something. And it was really awesome also going into so I worked a lot with chiropractors, clinical nutritionists, medical doctors who want to do kind of functional medicine approach. So fast forward 3 months, I'm loving it. The guy approaches me and he's like, hey, you're doing really well here. He decided, bring me on the team. And I did get that raise, a good raise.
Hey.
So I was like, all right, thank you, God.
Yeah.
Done. So I'm here. So I'm working in that industry. And then at the meantime, we have to put on seminars. So these seminars are postgraduate hours for people who are one of those designations I just said, but they want to go deeper in clinical nutrition.
Okay.
Learn how to actually treat patients, start a practice in their office. So at this time, in Houston, I had a territory. The territory I managed, we would try to get all the people to the seminar to learn and expand. So I'm just taking the seminars every time I'm there. And they're interesting. It's like one's on blood sugar, and then you go home and like try the stuff and teach the people.
Yeah.
learning the pillars. So fast forward about 5 years later, I grew to be the number one rep of like 75 of us. And
Amazing.
yeah, and it just, when something's from the heart, again, it was honestly
Yes.
felt like a God thing
Yeah.
because yeah, I showed up and did the work, but it was just, things were just happening and falling into place.
Yeah.
And so yeah, from there, then they changed the rule. And they said, you know what? Anybody who has over 150 postgraduate hours can sit for this clinical nutrition postgraduate certification through Texas Chiropractic College. So I decided, hell yeah. Like, really? Because typically, as a rep, that's not us. It's more for the practitioners.
Right.
And at that point, I had over 300 postgraduate hours that I collected through the seminars. They let me sit for the test. I did well on the test. And then at that point, that's how I knew, if I really want to legitimately go into practice, I can. And I, was in that industry about a year more specifically as a rep. And then from there, you and I met like a year later.
That's
and
crazy.
private practice during COVID, actually.
Wait, that's insane.
Mm-hmm. Did you know any of that?
I had no idea. That's so funny. Yami, did your research? No, I didn't, apparently.
Did you know that?
No, absolutely not. That's so cool. Yeah, I think that's a testament to what you were saying. Like when you are doing something and you're just either forced to pivot or you just know that it's time to pivot, but then everything kind of just, I don't want to say that it was easy because I don't think it was easy, but like things start to kind of, like you said, fall into place and it just feels easier. The work is still hard, but it's like, you're kind of like floating in the hard, if that makes sense,
Mm-hmm. Sometimes that concept, like your no is to get to your best yes.
Oh yeah.
And
That's so good.
anytime I've ever done that, or we've done that where you say that really hard no, that is so uncomfortable and you feel like I really should be doing this, but something, just pulls you there, and it pays off in different ways, and kind of that organic.
Yeah.
What's that say? Organic flow,
Yeah.
because you're just kind of
flowing through life, and it's just like, yeah, I love that. And doors open, and you just feel like you're in your groove. So that makes me really happy to hear, because I just thought you just knew you wanted to do this your entire life, and here you are just doing it.
Cutting away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
That's awesome. Okay. So then, what would you say is your ideal patient?
Well, first of all, I love to work with women. We do work with men, but
yeah, her bread and
say
butter.
What'd you say?
Your bread and butter is like women. You love to help the women.
It is. Yeah. Whenever I look at our staff, we're like 99.8% women. I see 2 male patients that I love to death that have been with me since the beginning, and the rest, my husband sees them all. So all our males see Dr. Dan. There's this concept in natural wellness that most practitioners tend to service patients that maybe have a similar journey, or it just the collective of what tends to kind of pull or come to you. So I would say, gosh, I mean, there are so many kinds of people we see, honestly.
I know. That was like a little bit of like a...
You know what I mean? I mean, what comes to mind, first of all, fatigue.
Yeah.
A lot of people that we see either are dealing with some kind of massive overwhelm, massive fatigue, or big anxiety. So something where your energy levels aren't quite right, or you're feeling that it shows up emotionally as either like dips a low mood, depression, anxiety, and a lot of hormonal issues.
Yeah.
So, just a lot of people even say they're just, I think my hormones are out of balance, and they don't quite know. And that's a very common patient we see a lot of gut health stuff.
Yeah.
And usually it's all together. Like because we ask for your top 3 concerns, and we do a really thorough history, but it's almost always, we're going to see one of these 4, which is like something going on in the gut could be a possibility. Weight loss is a goal, or muscle gain. And then some kind of either fatigue or anxiety. And then people who just want to check their levels.
Yeah, I was going to say, because, and I'm trying to think back why I started working with you. Like, what was the concern that I was having? And I honestly don't remember. It feels like it was literally like over 10 years ago, but it wasn't.
But I vaguely remember. Actually, let me just pull it up and screen
Right.
So Crystal connected us. She was my assistant at the time. I think you guys were in a small group for like 2 times together or something.
What I do remember is that we had just moved to Houston, like maybe we were a year in, and I was feeling like I don't know if it was the allergies that got me really bad or what, but I was dealing with a lot of like fatigue and just like this, or I don't know what to call it, like this aura thing. And
Mm-hmm.
it was around the same time that breast implant illness like really popped off. And I was feeling like, oh my God, I'm dying every day. Like, and, yeah. And then, oh, that's what it was. I went to the doctor and they're like, all your levels are fine. Everything is fine. And I'm like, but I don't feel fine.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when I went and I explored you, and we worked together. And what I really like about Stephanie, you, is that she tests you, or she didn't test you, but she sends you to a lab, you get your blood work, and then you go through every single thing together. Like the appointment was like over an hour long, and we did do it virtually. Well, I think the first one, oh no, we filmed a YouTube video together. That's why we were in person.
Came to your house.
Yes, yes, yes. But all the appointments are virtual, and it's really cool how you take your time going through everything and all the questions that I have, because I don't know what XYZ and whatever. And yeah, I just really like how in depth you are. And with regular doctors, I mean, speaking from my experience, but I'm sure it's a lot of people's experience, is that like I said earlier, you're fine, your levels are fine, and they just send you on your way. And if you have any questions, they're like, you're crazy, you're fine, let's go, like next. And so I think that's a testament to you and the way you handle your patients. It's like it does go back to that passion aspect of it. You actually do care about this and your patients and their health. And so I just wanted to say that because it is really, it's encouraging to have someone care, because it is when you do go through all these like health anxieties and issues and you're not feeling well, but everyone's telling you that you are okay, but you're like, no, I swear, like, I feel like I'm being gaslit. So it's really encouraging to find someone like you that is able to, help you. We've been working together on and off because what's really cool is that I don't have to work, or we don't have to work with you every single like month or whatever. It's really cool. Like if, you're working through something and your levels are great, and then it's like, okay, you're on your way. And then you can do like I don't know what you guys call them, like a checkup or, which I actually got an email for. I just remembered that I should probably do that, which I also really, really like. So if you want to talk on that, I'll let you talk because you're the one that's doing it.
Yeah, for sure. Yes. And that was exciting when we did your lab work and got to look at everything from a tighter perspective, because
Yes.
we look at functional ranges,
Right.
which means, for example, like even when it comes to weight loss, there's a marker called fasted insulin. And most people, I mean, the medical range, if you go to a lab for a Quest, it's anywhere from 5 to 24, which is a massive range.
Yeah.
So in functional, we actually have a very tight range on that. We don't want to see it any greater than a 6. And the reason why is in the presence of insulin, it's impossible to lose weight. So it's really difficult. So once your insulin begins to lower, which it responds phenomenal to natural care. And whenever we do this, we want to get you in preventative ranges. That
Right.
the same thing with like your magnesium, for example. Like the modern medicine range is a 1.8, but there's a lot of studies that show when we get you above a 2, you're really thriving. Magnesium is responsible for like over 200 biological reactions. It's like a podcast for magnesium.
Right.
Yeah, magnesium if you don't anyway.
Yeah, if there's anything you take away from this podcast, take your magnesium.
So with that, yeah, I love that. And that actually is something like the first new patient visit. And if you work with anyone on our team, like going through that functional report, and it's special, so it does look, it's not just like we're going to go over some raw data with you. We're showing you, colors and highlights and where you fall. And then we create a completely custom natural protocol. And that's just neat to see. And like you said, whenever the type of patient we also see, I would say, is we happen to be people's first touch into kind of preventative wellness, often doing it through lab work. And that's a special moment, when you're first getting your levels read. And it doesn't mean it has to be a scary thing. It's really just, coming from a perspective of performance enhancement is what we call it.
But I do feel like you made a comment earlier, like, I don't think people know how good we're meant to feel. I think a lot of us are dealing with a lot of, I don't know the terms, but we're just walking around feeling the way we feel. And we think this is the normal, but in reality, it's like, absolutely not. It's the furthest thing from the truth.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I remember in my personal story, and this may be extreme, but this was again, like probably 23, 24, 25. I would go to Sam's Club and I would buy in bulk, not Costco, okay, Sam's Club. And I would buy in bulk 5-hour energy drinks. Yeah. And I would be working, and I had a shop on Harwin actually. Did you know that?
No,
Yeah. You know where Harwin is?
no.
That's, but you know, are you in Houston right now?
I'm in Hockley.
Okay.
I'm like, out.
So basically I would literally chug these 5-hour, I mean, it's a shot. I'd take a shot
Yeah.
of 5-hour energy, you know, it'd be hit 2 or 3 o'clock. I'd be so fatigued and crashed out. I'd take another 5-hour energy shot. And I'd go through these quickly. But to your point, I was wondering, why on earth am I in my early 20s and so tired?
Literally.
It makes no sense. And it really never occurred to me, is this how other people feel? I just thought, I don't want to feel this way, but there's no other way. So consume caffeine. And
Right.
you are spot on. There is a whole nother level that we really don't know exists. And what you were pointing to earlier, the wellness care, where you don't have to do it every 3 months or like entrench yourself in it. But when you
Yeah,
keep an eye on it over time, just like fitness,
totally.
like I'm sure if you had people who were, doing your app, doing your exercise, or doing fitness with you, and then they just, I mean, any of us, if you
Yeah.
don't work out for 3 months, you're like, okay, I'm feeling it. I want to get back. And
But I think the goal for me anyway, and I'm sure you could relate, it's not, I don't want to be your trainer forever. Like I want to give you the tools you need to succeed and be on your own. So I think working with you is kind of the same thing. Whereas I'm learning all of these things that I should be implementing into my diet, or the supplements that you prescribe, or the diet that you encourage me to take. It just helps me, live a life that I'm going to feel good, but not necessarily under your care 24/7.
yes, 100%, 100%. And yeah, you nailed it. It's getting the person started, and then it becomes a routine, or you meet other like-minded people, or you
Yep.
incorporate, and you really do not have to incorporate everything at all, because we do recommend, based on your blood work, what could look like a suspect of a food sensitivity. So some foods to avoid. We recommend supplements, herbs based on your labs, and then lifestyle changes. But, most patients, I mean, even if you do this 75% of the time, still see really, really good results. And
Yeah.
then the more time, like you said, we don't want to chain you to us forever, because, that isn't wellness care. And
Right.
it's awesome to see too. And that's really why I love working with you so much, because over the years, through different seasons,
Mm-hmm.
like before baby, and I remember vaguely when we started, we were doing some hormone work
Yeah.
naturally.
Yep.
And that is, again, like preconception preparation is awesome. And just as a woman out there, if you are having any trouble conceiving, if you are worried, preconception preparation is not talked about enough. Like
Yeah.
3 months before you want to try, there are, I mean, not to put fear out there whatsoever, but there are so many natural things you can do that make a world of
Totally.
difference. A world of difference. And I mean, that's just one of my passions. It's so neat to watch it, and then even like the quality of the egg and all the different changes.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah. I remember when I had the miscarriage, we did some blood work and then we came back again. I could be totally off here, but I think my progesterone was low.
mhm.
The blood work showed the progesterone was low. And then you put me on a protocol. I drank I think it was a pill. I don't remember. And then we were able to get pregnant, 3 months, 4 months after that. So it's really neat. Like you said, the seasons of life that we've been working together. Like at first it was the hormone, and then I did the allergy testing, and that was a B. That was like the
Love
most
that.
drastic. Yeah, yeah. And then the miscarriage and everything. And then I know that I mean, we're not going to talk about me very much, but I did during pregnancy, I was pre-diabetic, and then that was resolved. And then I remember the last call we had, you're like, I can let you free. You are free to go. You don't not need to be under my care anymore. And I was like, I've made it.
No, I remember. Yeah, everything looked so, so good. And I remember before that, one thing I love working about with well is, you're just who you are
Yeah.
always. And,
I know where
you
you're
know,
going. I know where you're going with
sometimes we'll
this.
look at something and then later you'll like call me or text me and be like, okay,
I'm like, am I dying? Like I
real
had,
quick,
yeah.
by the way, just needed to check on this. Am I
Literally.
breathing? Did you check my aura ring?
Yeah, yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, that's so funny. I had really bad health anxiety for a little bit, and I was like, Stephanie, oh, we need to run blood work. I need to know I'm okay. Am I dying? And then it came back, and it was a mess. It was a mess after I gave birth, and then we took the time, and like she said, I was in the clear after, and so anyway, enough about me.
Another thing on what you're saying with the postpartum, that, I mean, when I say the preconceptions of passion, postpartum is an amazing time to run your labs too.
Yeah,
And I just wish more mamas postpartum, to have access to this. Unfortunately, insurance does not cover
yeah,
natural preventative care because they
yeah.
look at it as preventative. And if you have an HSA, that's awesome. You can use that. And I wish it was covered more
I
because
know.
there's so often like we can be really inflamed postpartum. Certain thyroid levels can go wonky. And, when you're just kind of feeling it and in the thick of it, just getting a little natural to support, to love on the body, if you will. And, we can use whole food supplementation and all that. And I love that. I remember that visit with you too. And um, it
No,
was
it
nice.
was it
I
was
like seeing you.
it was leaps and bounds different. It was just, and I think another thing that women don't know is that they don't know that this is accessible. Like they don't know unless you go to your doctor, you ask for blood work, and they're not going to give you blood work because you're fine. And it's like, but I'm not fine. And so if you are postpartum or if you're pregnant right now, it's something to think about because if. And like she said, it's natural supplements. So it's not like you're taking drugs. It's all these things. Like, can you give an example of what you would be taking if, you can think of your own patient in your head that's like newly postpartum, having hormonal imbalances, like you mentioned, the thyroid. What are some things that you would prescribe? And I know this is not like an end all be all because there's not an actual person, but just so that the audience gets an idea of what you would be prescribing.
Yeah. So let's say you're postpartum, and usually for your lab work, we'll say give it at least 6 weeks. So we want things to shake out just a bit.
Yeah.
We're not really focusing on sex hormones like progesterone, estradiol, those kind of things, because they are going to be all over the place postpartum.
Right.
But we do focus naturally on how we can support the hormonal system. So a very common presentation would be high levels of inflammation. We run a marker called CRPS. It kind of looks at global inflammation. We look at a few other things, but just at the most basic level, we're going to mix. So there's herbal and there's whole food. So we like to, especially in postpartum, we really stay away from using certain herbs can be contraindicated. So we're very, very careful on the herbs we use postpartum. And then it's more going to fall into using whole food nutrition for
Right.
that. One other thing, like turmeric is a very common used postpartum anti-inflammatory that's natural, but we like to use formulas. So formulas consist of a multitude of different things in one that kind of make up a power hit. Another common presentation would be blood sugar imbalances. So really, really basic like chromium. So blood sugar imbalances are a really common thing postpartum and inflammation. But just for blood sugar in general, chromium is a really safe bet. I will say the only thing is important, and this is why I love doing the labs, that if you're nursing, the demand on your body is insane.
Right.
I mean, it's almost, I would venture to say 80% of the time I run a lab on a postpartum nursing mama, her carbohydrate stores are very low. And she's often under eating carbs and often craving carbs and sugar because biologically the body is looking for an energy source.
You're literally giving me PTSD as we talk about this because I know exactly that feeling.
And so it's like chromium can be amazing, but we don't want to pull your blood sugar too low, which is
Right.
what we need to watch out for. So that's why we also do food. So in that situation, we'll use, you need to be getting a lot of healthy starchy carbs. This actually is common for quite a bit of women. Even like if you exercise a lot or you've been low carb for a long time, it's great to get a check in those levels, like your protein levels. I love to look at that postpartum because it's another thing. You think you're eating enough. And I hate to say it because it's very interesting to see if you tweak up the food more, it does a lot for the recovery. The other thing I would say we see electrolyte imbalances, really
Right.
kind of simple thing. HPA axis need. So that's your hypothalamus, pituitary, and adrenal. And as females, that's kind of where we receive our stress hits. And it also, our pituitary signals to our adrenals to make hormone, our thyroid to make hormone, our ovaries to make hormones. So pituitary support is incredible. And those are very natural things. We use like adaptogenic herbs or whole food nutrients. So it's really restorative. We often would never like detox during that time. We want to pull, we want to kind of put back magnesium, B vitamins, B12, methylated B vitamins can be a common need too.
Yeah. I remember speaking about this, you reminded me of when and you could correct me if I'm wrong, if you remember, I couldn't, I forget how you worded it, but I couldn't do like heavy lifting because you said my body was like, again, I don't remember the terminology for it, but you're like, stay low impact. And I think I was just like postpartum and I was like, what do you mean? I need to lose this weight. But I think it's so neat how the blood, like the testing can show all of these things. And so that you're then able to not go in blindly. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And heavy lifting, it is something that specific people thrive with it. But to your point, we can see in the lab work if the body is in a state, if it's overly inflamed, if it's recovering from something, depending on your cortisol levels. If you go out there and just kind of hit it hard and try to push as heavy as you are, it actually becomes more of a stressor and more of a burden than productive. The same with cardio can kind of have that, that horseshoe effect. It can be really good, but if you push too much, the body becomes catabolic, which is where it eats itself. And especially if the fuel isn't right, then you muscle waste.
This is so interesting. Like, I feel like this could be like a 20-hour podcast. So we'll probably have to have you back on. Yeah. But are you guys taking any new clients?
Yes. So over the 4 years, when we first started, I was the, what do you call that? Like the
head honcho. You were the
head honcho.
Yeah.
Wild West out here.
Yeah. I feel that. Listen.
Seeing all the patients. But since then, so I mentioned Dr. Dan, chiropractor. We have had it's been a massive blessing, but explosive growth. And really just what you're saying, the more people find out about this and the more accessible and just, we also, a vibe we have here at UWOW is we try to be very human and down to earth with you.
Yeah.
So we're not going to talk, down to you. We're not going to make you feel like white coat syndrome. It's very detailed and an explanation based on your questions. And then also, what we need to present to you with that. So Dr. Dan, so I started the business whenever COVID hit.
Yep.
A lot of places closed down. He had a chiropractic office in City Center in Houston. So after that, the business started to grow. And then Dr. Dan also has, he stacked on a clinical nutrition degree when he was in chiropractic college. So he started seeing patients with me.
Amazing.
So then it was like husband and wife team.
I love that.
Yeah, I can relate. So, or I'd imagine.
Yeah.
So basically, we started seeing patients side by side, Dr. Dan and I both. And then we brought on Jessica recently, and she sees patients for us as well. So We're all under the same training methods.
Yep.
We all, what I would say is one collective brain. Like we share cases together. We have a greater conscience to be, it's really fun, honestly. The more practitioners you work with, you get to really like talk story and learn together. But
totally.
We, and then actually we're hiring again.
Amazing. That is so, I love to see that. Like you said, like I honestly didn't know that you started your business when we first met. So seeing your growth has been absolutely amazing. And I know so many of, like my community has reached out to you and either worked with you or had their consultation. So that makes me so happy.
It's amazing to tell you. So I just found this out the other day. So one of my patients, Jessica, this is not the Jessica, Jessica H. She, we've been meeting for a long time since you and I, probably almost 3 years, her and I have been meeting. And we've done amazing work together. She's went through different seasons of life and we've been able to connect during that and support her. But one of the meetings, she's like, oh yeah, I have a marketing agency. And I'm like, oh, neat. The timing didn't line up. She sent me this beautiful proposal, didn't line up. But about 3 months ago, I really, at this point, needed a marketing agency as we add on our practitioners and needed some help. So now she's like my lead everything. She's incredible. And I met her through you. She is freaking amazing.
Oh
She's
my
so sweet.
gosh, I love
Yeah.
that.
The other day I was like, how did you find me? She's like, through Yami.
Oh
I
my
said, through Yami.
goodness. I love that. That makes me
Mhm.
so happy. I love that so much. It's crazy how like you just do life and people connect with people I don't know, it's just a weird but like a really gratifying, fulfilling thing. So that makes me really happy. Okay. What exciting things do you have coming up for I know you said you're hiring, but is there anything else in the horizon for you guys?
Well, last year, so we have a couple of exciting things coming up. The
Tell
first
me.
one I want to tell a little story about. So last year, um, for the first time, I've always wanted to do retreats.
Me too. We talk about this all the time. Continue.
So I put one together last year and I partnered with someone. We did it at Savannah in Arizona, which
Okay.
is a really neat place. They don't even allow white sugar on the property.
Love.
Yeah. I mean, they have things, but it's like coconut sugar or
Yeah.
this or that.
Yeah.
Really, really like fun, relaxing place. So we did the retreat there. I think we did it for like three sleeps, 4 days.
Okay.
Included like spa services, and we kind of just hung out, had group dinners, and the it was incredible. I mean, I was very nervous for it up front. I just wasn't sure.
Right. A new
We knew,
thing.
just kind of one of the girls. We're gonna hang
Yeah.
out, but we also included lab work. So we actually did a whole adrenal fatigue test, and they got a meeting with me uh, during the retreat at some
Yeah.
point. So we
That's so
did
cool.
that. But and then a protocol to start when they got home. We had it shipped over to them. But it was incredible. I mean, so gratifying, so neat, and just getting to meet the people in person
In
and
person.
hang out.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I was telling you about that yesterday. That was something that, I mean, regardless of anything, when again, when organically something just has that feel to it and it's right, like that's something that's on the horizon for us to
Amazing.
continue to partner and do those kind of retreats. And then the other thing is, so we do little, what I would call mini health groups. Like, probably our most popular one and well attended was the little mini sugar detox. So we did that one. It was a 30-day challenge, and each week we met together. You had a little guidebook,
Oh,
and
I love that.
clinically, there's certain things that sugar can feed, like candida, yeast,
Yep.
fungus, stuff like that. So if you want to go a little deeper in detox, but really, we just did a food thing. Really, really fun together. So once a week we met, did a little video, and just kept it going with just interesting, funny, I will also say, because I think we had like 500 people do this,
Holy moly.
and just a lot of us sugar detoxing and going through the ups and downs. But again, the vibe here, and I think also just in general with health and wellness, it frustrates me when you see that perfect person on
Oh my
Instagram, right?
goodness. Yeah.
Making her 7 meals with her perfect little matcha. Like, that is not real. Okay.
No, but you're right.
Like, I
Like,
literally have to hold myself back from resharing those stories and doing like a green screen background saying
yeah.
how unreal. And I
Yes.
see the people that really, hurts,
Yeah.
because they think like, I have to eat this way because I can look this way and do
Yep.
this. And
Yep. I listen, I'm not going to start, but yes, I agree. I totally agree with you. And I love that you made that point, and I love how you're making it real and showing people that it's not what you see on Instagram or Pinterest. It's like you have to do the actual work. And going back to your the sugar detox challenge, like, are these all up on your website? Where can everybody find these things?
so the sugar detox, we actually run it periodically throughout
Okay.
the year.
Okay.
So you can follow me on Instagram,
Yes.
Wow Nutrition.
Yep. Everything will be linked below, by the way, but I do want her to say it herself.
Yeah, so that's where really every single day I'm in the story and most interactive, but on our website as well. So we actually are doing a revamp.
Oh,
Yesterday I put in
cool.
the story, like, as a business owner, you like things to be very on brand and have that feel. Our current website, I'm like, this is not we needed something, and I'm grateful. We do a lot through
Yeah.
Instagram,
We
but
all learn, we all start somewhere, and we all learn, and we have to just evolve, like you said. So.
right, time to wave a little magic wand.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
in about 4 to 6 weeks from the day that this podcast listed, we will have access to all of those little mini groups, and then you can also purchase things from us now. We
Amazing.
never did e-commerce
Oh,
as well.
cool.
So
That's
different kind
so,
of fun beauty health stuff, and challenges, etc.
Oh, I love that. I love the evolution, and it's just so gratifying to see. Before we wrap up, I ask everybody one question, and I feel like this might be a loaded question for you, but what is one thing or piece of advice that made you better than before?
Mm. I'm going to say, and you touched on this in the beginning and brought it up, but ever since I've started this business, I did something different with this business. I've had several other businesses, but this time I decided I am going to go towards organically where the energy is and where the flow is. I'm not going to push through something this time if it is unaligned, unconnected, which the way that looks like, how that shows up is I am white knuckling, forcing it to happen.
Yeah.
I'm anxious. I'm not satisfied. I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah.
There's a difference when you feel that joy through the stress or through the push, and then it alleviates. And there's this like God energy, if you will, that comes behind you. That has been a really big guiding factor on decisions and when to actually pull back, when to scale, what avenue to go, what not to do. And I slip in and out of it. But I will say that has been something I think that like it always seems to I don't know. God honors that.
Yeah.
Is the best thing I can say.
That's so beautiful. I totally relate to that. It's just so great to see where you are now. And I mean, I've said this multiple times, but seeing the growth of your business and all the women and men that you're helping is just, this has been so amazing. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I'm sure we're going to have you back on because I know that this podcast is going to have a lot of positive reactions and questions. So make sure you check out Stephanie and Oh Wow Nutrition. And if you are trying to conceive, during pregnancy, postpartum, any stage of your life, Stephanie is your girl and she's going to have you feeling better than before.
There we go.
I had to.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. And we'll chat soon. Thank you guys.